edition of the Morning Huddle live from First Financial Bank. Terry Slavens with you alongside Coach Brian Hewitt. And Coach, this is the final road game of 2013 football. We head to Comanche tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Hopefully, or I guess not hopefully, it will be the final scheduled road game.
Regular season, yeah.
We get at least one more of them, and hopefully on into a whole lot more.
And it's the first day of November, and a lot of times the last several years, this Friday night would have been our final game of the season, but this year we had our bye earlier in the season, so we'll have another game next week. But before we talk about any of that stuff, let's talk about last week as we went to 8-0 and stayed perfect in district.
Yeah, had a good game. Excuse me, I don't know. Dublin's good. We keep saying this. Dublin's a pretty good team, and then they played good. They return a long opening kickoff and take a short field, 30-yard field, and we get past batted up in the air and just look like we don't know how to play catch and miss an interception opportunity and then give up a 4th and 5 and look, lo and behold, we're down 7-0 right into it. But then from that point on, I felt like we did a really good job. We were without several people, and we kind of stayed true to the course and just didn't really make a big shake up of things and move kids around and we just played who's up next, and felt like we didn't move anybody up from the JV and just did a good job with it.
And you look at that game, and they ended up, I believe, with 21 points total on the night. 7 of them come after a nice return on the opening kickoff. The other 2 touchdowns also came after some big plays.
Yeah, one was just a good play. I wasn't to a kid that I would. I really told our kids going in, he's one of the top 2 or 3 probably just raw athletes in our district. Can really run and move, and he made a good play. It's one of those situations that we feel like we'll be better served this week and in future weeks with where we are, with who's in there and where we've got them. So really nothing to. Obviously, don't want to give it up by no means, but seeing 21 points. Doesn't really tell the whole story of how you feel like you played. Felt like we played really good defense. They I think had a total of 240, 250 yards, only 10 or 12 first downs. So a couple of those were by penalty. So did a good job defensively.
Offensively, the Mavericks put up big numbers once again. Total yards, if I remember correctly, were we over 500 last week?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think we're in the 540 range, I believe.
540 yards total offense.
Somewhere around there.
Some of that, I've slept since then. I'm having trouble recollecting what went on last week.
Your Halloween outfit last night.
Yeah, the Fred Flintstone. That's
worked up to put it on. Got you flustered.
Got me all flustered. But we played short-handed last week, as we have the last couple of weeks, with people that were either not suited up or they were suited up, but they weren't going in the ball game. Last week, Samuel Joyner. He told me that y'all had to take his helmet away from him a couple of times. So.
Yeah, he's tried to sneak over there, and he would probably try to run out. Not probably, he would have tried to run out there. So just made sure he didn't have it available. Had a plan. We kind of felt like we knew what we were going to do as far as being multiple with the ball on offense and spreading it around from a passing game perspective. And I'm not going to say necessarily most efficient because we had way too many drops, but as terms of, I probably attempts and completions, but definitely in yards is our most productive passing day of the year. So that was good to see on a night you didn't have your starting 2 running backs and 2 of your top 3 rushers, and then you could turn to something else and make some offense happen.
Yeah, offensive line continues to do a great job protecting Josh and giving him time to throw and have those kind of nights.
Yeah, we felt coming in the year they would definitely, at least early in the year, be the group that held us together until we gave our skills, which are younger or inexperienced, time to come along. So they've continued to do that, just like any other person or group or player. They've had their ups and downs, but as a whole have stayed in there and continued to improve and gotten a lot better.
Coach, last night we had some junior high and sub-varsity football with Comanche and some other places. I think we had a junior high black team went to Breckenridge. Let's start with them.
Yeah, we were spread out again. We went into Monday without a game for our junior high and JV black team. We found Breckenridge at the last minute, and you had to throw them on a 4 o'clock start, which we No, it's not convenient for parents and people, but it's that we got to weigh that decision of get them a game or don't get them a game. And unfortunately, we don't like people having a miss or can't get there, but more importantly to us is to let those kids who worked hard all week to get in there and play a game. So black team went over to Breckenridge, got beat 8-0. Felt like they did a really good job. Had one good possession. We got down there and thought we could have got in the end zone, but didn't. I think we played them quite a bit closer than the first time. They beat us 20-something to nothing the first time, we believe. So felt like we made improvement over the first time we played them.
The junior high teams, they were on the road at Comanche.
Junior high went to Comanche. Felt like our 7th grade didn't win. We got beat 21-6, but Comanche's undefeated in the 7th grade. They got a real good group, hadn't lost all year, and really felt like we played them pretty good. Had an opportunity to kind of go ahead early, not early in the, I guess early in the game, early in the second quarter, with about 4 minutes to go. I'd stopped them a couple times and moving the ball and ended up having a fumble that cost us. They got a couple of kids that are pretty fast and big, and we didn't get the victory, but really no shame losing to a team as a 7th grader that hadn't lost on the year yet. Then our 8th grade continued their undefeated year, and they won 15-0. Pretty really good effort defensively, probably with a very poor effort offensively. Several turnovers, several unfinished drives, but when you play defense as well as we did, I think the first 5 times they had the ball, there were 3 and outs. Gave up 1 first down the first half, and they never threatened us. And just as we said all year, that crew continues to play physical up front and aggressive and do a good job.
So the 8th grade undefeated with 1 more district game left. How's the schedule looking for next week? We got a full slate of games?
Yeah, we'll play Clyde, and Clyde will be full. They'll have everything. I guess our junior highs will be here. I believe we're starting at 4:30. Going to have that time change. Going to be darker earlier. Once again, it's kind of early, but when you stack 3 of them up on one night at one place, it gets long. So try to get our kids, get their games in, and get them home in a decent hour. So we got Clyde here at 4:30, and then on the road we go play our JV Black and Red at Clyde at 5.
And I forgot about the JV team that played here last night. They were victorious.
It was yes, they were, and they won 34-14 over Comanche. Kind of maybe a flat night where you in the stands you had a lot of parents and you had a varsity football players, and then you had nobody. Mr. Lawson, our principal, he walked down the south end of the field. I said, it's the first time in 6 years I've seen you down here. And he said, I guess everybody's trick-or-treating. And his end was totally empty. So just a dead night. They jumped out on us and went ahead 7-0. And then from there, we rattled off 34 points in a hurry, and it felt like we did a good job. And then I think our coaches did a good job, because without the JV Black game, we moved a bunch of kids up, and to get all those kids in the game and play them like that, that's a tough thing to do. We had around 40 of them, a little more I think, playing, so or around that, I really don't know officially, but did a good job playing them, and got another victory.
Yeah, that's very important. Not only to have the games for these kids, but the coaches have to make sure they don't get caught up in the games and not get some people playing time.
It's difficult, I'm telling you. And I know I'm a parent, as every parent is, and you could sit down there and you could love them all and watch them all, but you're going to watch yours, and we've got to protect all of them and watch all of them, and so that's hard to do, and especially when as you get up into the upper JV to varsity level, and you really want to focus and concentrate, or not focus, but concentrate on winning as you're trying to get better. It's a fine line to walk and to balance, getting everybody in, plus at the same time trying to win games. So, they did a good job of that last night.
Yeah, your coaches do a great job. I tell you, a coach that retired after last year that I was always amazed that seemed to know who hadn't been in yet and made sure he got in. Coach Phelps was awesome at that.
Yeah, did a good job. We felt like we replaced him with a guy that is kind of fit in that role and does a good job keeping his eye out for him. And Coach Vernon's been real good at that at the junior high level as well, paying attention. It helps that he has those kids in 6th grade PE, and so he really knows them before they get up there as 7th graders, and he can keep an eye on them and make sure they all get in the game.
All right, Coach, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll talk about some other games around the area last week and preview upcoming games this week. You're listening to the Morning Huddle on KTX 97.7. 97.7. We're live at First Financial Bank, and before we get into some of this other stuff we have going on, we're going to remind everyone listening, it's the First Financial Bank Clint Coffee State Farm tailgate party going on tonight. 4 o'clock, I believe we're going to start off, and hot dogs, bratwurst, chips, drinks, face painting, all taking place at the Brookshires parking lot. Matthew and I will be there for a little while to do some live broadcasting, and you can stop by and get fed and then head out to Comanche. Plenty of time. They're going to wrap up around 5:30, Clint. That gives you plenty of time to get to Comanche in time for the kickoff at 7:30. Coach, last week around the area in District A, Clyde 27, Comanche 21. That's a big ball game up at Clyde.
It turned into a really good game. Actually ended with Comanche 4th and goal from the 2 to attempted a toss pass to tie the game and kick the extra point for the win, and didn't connect on it. Kind of tell 2 halves. Clyde jumps out 21-0 in the first half. Then Comanche comes back and scores about 21, not unanswered, but close to unanswered. And just a game really that could have gone either way. Comanche had a couple of first and goal opportunities where they ended up not getting in the end zone, but then Clyde had one as well. So just, a good game, went back and forth. Probably coming off a bye week for Comanche and Clyde being home was probably in the end the difference.
You've mentioned a couple of different times about teams coming off of bye weeks this week that they haven't performed as well after the bye as they were leading up to the bye. That's
if you look at our district, it's been every team that's come off a bye's worst performance of the year has been that way. So that's how it's being up to date. Of course, that really doesn't come into play this week, but next week it'll come into play hopefully, and we'll test that theory anyway.
That's right. Then next week we will, as Clyde has the bye this week. Jim Ned 35, Merkel 28. That's a good football game.
Good game, and I know the. Hope I don't offend anybody saying this, but the old timers, as they get into these 4 playoff teams, it was horrible when they added 3. It was ridiculous when they made 2. At one time there's just 1 win, but the one good thing that has came about the 4, or that I like, or I've noticed about adding the 4th one this year, is it keeps everybody competitive. Whereas if you were into last year, just 3, those 2 guys might have already been out of it, and I'm sure Merkel would have been, but with only 2 games left because they haven't had their bye. So adding that 4th playoff team lets those guys play hard and finish the year, and be competitive and have something to play for as they finish. And sounds like it's a good game.
And Jim Ned, of course, that was their first district win, I believe.
Yes.
Jim Ned.
Yes.
And Merkel now wraps up their season tonight as they have the Week 10 bye, I believe.
Yep, then they'll be done, and I think everybody else is still alive for playoffs.
And before we look at the other district games coming up tonight, Cisco had a game with Hamilton. Hamilton put 34 points up on the board. Probably the only thing that surprised me there, they win at 62-34.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Cisco, just knowing, being over there, coach there for 6 years, and knowing them as well as I do, Hamilton's always been a thorn in Cisco's side. Just has always plays them very well. It's similar styles, and then just for some reason always plays them good. A couple years ago, I don't know if it's the year Cisco, the last time Cisco went to the finals or not, but there's a year in there Cisco was a lot better and ended up winning 6-0 at home. So it just always play them good. But kind of I would imagine a little bit of the case that we fight sometimes, every single week right now during a few of these games. The other team's going to play, and, your kids don't always necessarily think they're as good as they sound. So it's difficult to get your kids out and play every week.
And sometimes, you're dealing with a bunch of 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. Tend to maybe play down to an opponent.
Yeah, I read this somewhere. I can't remember who it was. It was talking about it. I was reading some Coach Walraven quote this week about Grandview's playing, I think, Clifton right in front of next week's big rivalry game with Godley, which is going to turn out to be, if they don't slip up tonight, a 5-0 versus 5-0 for district championship. He says at practice in the locker room, we can sit here and harp and talk about how good this week's opponent is, but once they leave here, they're going to hear what the town or the public or what you read in the paper or on the internet. So it's difficult, especially in today's times, to really shield them from that and convince them always that you've got to show up each and every week to play.
Tonight, Breckenridge travels to Merkel. Merkel has an opportunity to play the role of a spoiler tonight.
Yeah, and I said that, and Coach Pierce comes over 2 days a week as our trainer, and he's, works in Breckenridge as well, and he was telling me, and I didn't look through it all, but technically I think Merkel is mathematically still alive for there's I'm assuming a way that they could all one and four each other, 1 and 5, and big tie for fourth place there. So, but generally, I would imagine Merkel's got that role. But same kind of thing. Breckenridge coming off a big win, and then sitting there for first district win, and sitting there for a week and feeling good about themselves. So it would be dangerous, for Breckenridge to overlook them.
And Jim Ned travels to Dublin. Both those teams still very much alive in the hunt for that fourth playoff spot.
And obviously nobody's going to be out of it this week, but I'm sure you're looking at a elimination type game, and they're both going to take it that way. So I guess it's probably going to be at Dublin,
it's at
Dublin. And home field's been a big deal in our district this year, and so we'll see.
And Cisco travels to Colorado City.
Yeah, long drive, and I'm going to be a nemesis for Coach West here. A long drive to play one of those games that the drive will be longer than the game should be. So Colorado City's kind of had some rough times. I know they've got their 2 best players, I think, have been hurt and then are out, or 2 of their better ones. So difficult game for them tonight.
Coach, before we take our final break, let's talk a little bit about this District 4 2A Division 1. We have the 3 teams. We know the three teams are going to fill the first 3 spots. We just don't know in what order that's going to happen. It's Eastland, Clyde, and Comanche. Of course, Comanche, coming off the loss last week, they're going to look to bounce back against us. This is a jumbled mess, or it could end up being a jumbled up mess. We're in a position to take care of business, but, if we end up with 3 teams with 1 loss.
Yeah, somebody was asking me, I can't remember, it was earlier this morning, about the playoffs, and who we get, and I was like, man, we've got Comanche this week, and it's honestly with Comanche, what I told our kids, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, but the beauty of this week and next week on in, the rest of the weeks for me as a coach is easy, because I can sit here and tell you now, you don't play well, you're not going to win. Here's what they do, here's what we need to do, but we've got a quality opponent, it. So with our ability to lose 1 or both weeks, Comanche could lose 1 and then have to win the next week, and then Clyde beat us and throw it into a 3-way tie, and then those bottom teams still fighting. I say bottom, the teams that are at the bottom right now fighting out for that 4th playoff spot. There's really nothing at all, and I guess conceivably if Comanche lost out, they could go to 3-3, and Breckenridge or Dublin or somebody else like that could jump up to 3-3 and still be alive for the 3rd spot. So really, there's nothing with 2 weeks to play. There's nothing said at all.
With the extra round of playoffs in this year, do you have to already start looking for venues for playoff games? You're going.
I called 2 weeks ago to get one, and I was already 3rd on the list 2 weeks ago. So we've done it, but it's going to be. We talked to some people. I think you're going to see some doubleheaders and or some home and home flips because you're going to, it's already difficult anyway.
Right.
Then you throw in the fact that I guess 1A, 2A, and 3A all add games, and so you're adding a whole bunch of games. So it's going to be interesting. That's a good question. We'll see how it goes.
That first round of the playoffs, without having to buy, I would guess in essence nearly double what the games.
I guess probably
50% add-on.
Yeah, that's how it would be, not double, but 50%, because you got half of us were on buys.
On buys. All right, Coach, we're going to take a final break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Comanche Indians in 2 minutes. You're listening to the Morning Huddle on KATX. Morning Huddle here from First Financial Bank as we're in the final segment here, and Coach Hewitt, sort of as the season developed, we started seeing that this game was going to become an important game on our schedule, and it's come to pass. 1 district loss for Comanche. We're undefeated, and it's a big football game.
Yeah, I think it's just something we've been saying now on here for, of course, you ask every week about, talk about our district play in area games. It's something we've been saying for 9 weeks. Just give Comanche time to get rolling and give Clyde time to get healthy and get everybody back. And as we get here, it's just like we said, those two teams are rolling, and knew they were going to be felt like along the way they would be our big games, and we're two of them. And here's the first one of the two, and really wish Comanche probably would have got the win last week. Just, I don't know, you got to beat them anyway, but you get somebody at home, last home game, really backed into a corner. They're not officially in the playoffs.
Senior night.
Senior night, the whole works, so you're gonna be in for a long, hard, physical, tough one.
When rumors have it they had a beat Eastland party last night.
That's what everybody keeps telling me. I don't know. Everybody, I'm sure, has those things right now.
So, if you're a Comanche coach, are you sitting there thinking, okay, let's win the toss, elect to receive, and let's drive the ball down the field?
I would imagine, or 10, 12 minutes, and try to get ahead. Hope we go 3 and out or turn the ball over, and it's really it's such a big key in a game like tonight is who's playing from front, who's playing from behind, and then even more so than most weeks on the turnover battle, the turnovers. It's like I told our kids, most games you're going to get 10 or 11 possessions, and then those some games you're going to be up in that 12 or 13 possession game. Last year we played Comanche, we had 8. One of them, I believe, we knelt it out, and we scored 7 touchdowns. You're just going to have fewer possessions and fewer opportunities to score. And then, obviously, on the same side, they're going to have fewer, but you've got to keep them from milking the clock and keep them out of the end zone.
And that's their game plan, to clock control, play from ahead, and just try to stay ahead.
Yeah.
If they get down 2 or 3 touchdowns, then it pulls them out of their comfort zone.
It does. It doesn't mean they can't. I mean, I'm telling you, Casey Monteith's a good quarterback. He's a 3-year starter. They got good receivers, huge up front in the offensive line. They can throw the ball. It's just not what they do as much. It's not what they want to do. So you got to just. It'll be just one of those things where you really want to try to stay even or ahead because it really makes it. It plays into what they want to do, playing from behind.
Defensively, what will we see from the Comanche Indians?
They've changed from last year. Obviously looking at them through their offense, they're a wing tee, which you don't see a whole lot anymore. Defensively, they're the same thing. Last year they were split, which people don't run anymore. They've had to adjust to today's terms would be a 4-2-5, where you have a low safety. You got 3 safeties, free safety, and a low and a high, or small and weak, however you want to call it. And they didn't change to that, but they basically went to a 4-3, just for the fact to adapt to the spread offenses and multiple offenses today. So the big thing we felt last year is they were good. They grind you out offensively, but they weren't very good defensively. And so to me, they just continue to improve on offense, but defense is where they made a big jump as well, and they're playing so much better on that side of the ball.
Health-wise, how are we coming into this ball game? Better than we've been in the past?
We're better. I don't think at this time of year anybody's completely healthy. And you just got to understand it. But it's, I don't know, I shouldn't say rare, but it's odd that you're better off now than you were last week. And so we are better off. And so hopefully we can just continue on that. And that's something we really talk to our kids about. Injuries and things of that nature where you lose playing time early in the year. If you take it right and you do it right, you'll only build better depth for your football team. When we felt like with all the loss of playing time we've had over the past month, we've done that. We've got lots of kids more playing time, and a kid I can just call out, Brant Bailey, who has been a backup as a sophomore, as a pure special teams player / backup on both sides of the ball. Lo and behold, for 3 or 4 weeks he's been a defensive starter and an offensive starter last week, so now he's going to be way better at his roles than he was a month ago.
Samuel Joyner, he
should be good to go. Yeah, he's had a good week practice, and look forward to having him back.
What about Zach?
Zach's had a good week. Zach's been real good all week, probably better than expected, and so right now he looks like he's going to be a good go.
All right. Coach, I had one more thought. I know. Talking about lack of defense, Did you happen to see the final score between West Texas A&M and McMurray last week?
I did. That was a long game, I bet.
Actually, we left at the beginning of the fourth quarter because we had a birthday party to come to, and it was already played for 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't. It was 80 something, 50 or
91 to 57. 1,401 total yards of offense.
That's pretty bad.
That's crazy.
That's kind of how I felt that Grandview night. If I stopped somebody.
Yeah. All right, I want to remind everyone, once again, it's the Clean Coffee State Farm First Financial Bank tailgate party going on at Brookshire's beginning at 4 o'clock. Hot dogs, bratwurst, drinks, chips, face painting, fun. Come on out and join us. They'll wrap that up about 5:30, and then we'll all head down to Comanche. You can catch the pregame show at 7 o'clock and the kickoff at 7:30. Thanks to my guest, Coach Brian Hewlett. Thanks to my engineer back in the studio, Matthew Householder. Thank you for your time this time. Till next time, I'm Terry Slavens. Have a fabulous weekend, everyone.